So I have been dreading having to make this video. Well, first let me just say hi, welcome back to my channel, guys. I know it has been a very long time since I've been more active and consistent on this channel. That is for a reason. I feel like I can't put it off any longer. I'm gonna really try hard to get through this without crying, with giving you guys as much detail as I can without triggering myself. So I am just gonna try to talk about almost a good 2 months ago. It's about a little over a month and a half ago. The last video that I just posted at Grisel's photography, like doing the behind the scenes, the day that I filmed that, it was actually that exact day that the situation occurred. I feel a lot more comfortable this way. Okay. The day that I filmed at Grisel's studio, it just so happened to be the same day. Later that night, I had gone out with a friend to a bar where we met up with a couple of other friends and family. And at the bar, I ran into someone that I know. She is in an abusive relationship, and while we're alone, she had asked me to help her and to make sure that, you know, her safety is intact, essentially. And in my profession, I'm a social worker. For those of you who, you know, don't know, I'm a social worker, and, you know, it is in my just innate being to want to help other people. And so when I'm directly asked for help, if there's something that I feel like I can do to give to another person to ensure that they're okay, I'm gonna do it. Regardless of what situation I'm in, regardless of where I am, you know, I'm gonna try my best to help you as best as I can, as best as I know how. And in this situation, I, being who I am, put myself in harm's way. And in doing that, I got assaulted, and it's by someone that I can't even remember his face. That's like the worst part of it all. I blacked out for a second because the pain that had come over me kind of just took me out. I, in the past, have had several different sprains on my right knee, and had never gotten it checked out. Had gotten it checked out, like, to the point of going to the hospital, where they would then tell me, like, you sprained your knee, you need to be on crutches, you need to, you know, keep it elevated, wrap it for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks you'll be fine. Never was sent for further testing, never was sent, you know, for any follow-up doctors, like follow-ups with a specialist, nothing like that. So I had injured my knee a couple of times, and after this situation, when I tell you that I blacked out from the pain because my knee popped out of place, the pain was surreal. And all I remember was feeling that pain and falling to the ground. And in falling to the ground, I also hit several other things on my way down. So I had a lot of bruises all over me. Thankfully, the people that I was with, you know, they at the time they were at the bar, and I was in a back room. I was in a separate room, so they weren't there when the assault actually happened, but they had come back and seen me on the floor. And it just so happened that when I fell to the floor, a stranger had been walking by and saw what happened, and right away tried to, like, get the person, like, away from me, from the person who asked for my help. tried to get this person away from us, and then my family, my friends, they all came back to where I was, and they saw me on the ground and I was crying, and right away it was like chaos just had taken over. Chaos had taken over, and some of the people that I was with started fighting with the guy. Some of the people that I was with, like my brother was there, and my brother, thankfully, him and his cousin, they picked me up off of the ground and they carried me out. The cops were called. It was like a whole chaotic scene. I got out of there. I got out of there as fast as I could. I didn't want to have to deal with the police. I didn't want to have to deal with looking at myself as a victim. I didn't want to have to deal with like doing a police report and going through all of those different measures. I didn't want to do any of that. And I was in a lot of pain, so I really just wanted to go home. So my brother had taken me home, and he made sure that I was good. He like carried me up the stairs because I live, you know, on several different flights. So my brother made sure that I was okay. Finally, the next day, I really just tried to keep it elevated because, again, I've been through this situation before with my knee, so I felt like I knew what to expect, and it wasn't anything different. I felt like it was the same old thing. So I really just tried to ice it, tried to keep it elevated, tried to stay off of it as much as I could, and I was still in, you know, excruciating amount of pain. So the following day, so 2 days later now, ooh, my fucking lashes are coming off. Look at this. That's what happens when you cry, when you have makeup on. I had gone to the hospital. The hospital had sent me for an x-ray, which they said had come back normal. But being that I was in the amount of pain and I described the pain the way that it was, they wanted me to follow up with a specialist. So all they did was give me some crutches, and they gave me a Velcro cast to wrap around my leg to keep my knee in place. It's called a knee immobilizer. So I had one of those on, and made the soonest doctor's appointment that I could with the specialist. The specialist saw my knee, said it was very, very severely swollen, and wanted me to go get an MRI to see what the internal damage was. But because it was so swollen, he recommended that I drain my knee. So that's exactly what I did. Because at this point, you know, even though I know that a lot of pain is coming with it because it was already in a severe amount of pain, I'd rather do something that's going to help me to become better, to get better, than for me to continue to stay in the pain that I was in. So I decided to get it drained, which was the most painful experience I've ever had to go through. Oh my God, let's not even talk about it. But they had drained my knee, and they had also given me, I believe it's a cortisone shot, but it's essentially a shot to like help with the pain. And that was directly inserted into the area, into the knee. So I got that done, and then was sent for an MRI. Got the MRI done, and then found out at the follow-up appointment with my doctor. I followed up with my doctor, who then told me that I have a torn ACL, completely torn. I have a dislocated patella, so my kneecap essentially is dislocated, but it's shifted on a tilt. So essentially your kneecap is supposed to be straight, right? So let's say my knuckles are my kneecap. Mine is shifting to the right and turning, like it's tilting itself. So every time it bends, it moves out of place. So I have that, and then behind your patella, between the patella, so between your kneecap and between your actual thigh bone, which is your femur, there's a little indent where there's supposed to be cartilage that keeps the patella kind of in place and doesn't allow the kneecap to rub against your femur. and apparently I lost all of that cartilage, and that can be problematic because cartilage does not grow back. So although I can get repair, I'm told that they might have to take cartilage from another part of my body or another part of my leg or whatever just to fill that space. But they said that they won't know how much or, you know, what you know, how bad the damage is until they go in and see it for themselves. So essentially the doctor had told me that I do need to get surgery to get all of this repaired. And then I also have to go through physical therapy. And with that comes a long recovery process. You know, he had told me that I would have to be on crutches after the surgery and in a special brace for 6 weeks. And then following the 6 weeks, I would have to do physical therapy. And he said that long term, I'm looking at about a 6-month recovery journey before they would make the determination for me to be cleared for like any physical activities, so like sports, exercise, things like that. I do know some people who have gone through the surgery themselves, and they say that that 6-month mark is not necessarily realistic. The doctors try to tell you that, but you know, unless you're like constantly on your physical therapy and you're constantly on, you know, pushing yourself to recover, like, you know, by the doctor's recommendations and the physical therapist's recommendations, it's going to be a longer process, and you're probably still going to, you know, feel a lot of pain. So that's what I'm looking at, because the alternative is that I just get physical therapy and then I run the risk of this happening multiple times and it getting worse, and eventually me needing to get the surgery anyways. So it doesn't really make sense for me to wait for it to get worse and for me to constantly go through this experience than to just do it now. So that's where I'm at right now. Again, it's been almost 2 months. I had to find a new doctor because of some insurance issues. So I have an upcoming appointment next week with a new surgeon who I'm going to be meeting. Apparently he's like really good. He's 5 stars. He has worked on injuries, knee injuries with some of the LA Lakers, with professional dancers in the Alvin Ailey company, and like things like that just made me feel more reassured. I did a lot of extensive research on the doctors that are approved under my insurance, just so that I can feel confident going into the surgery, knowing that I can make a full recovery. So he seemed to be like my #1 go-to. So I'm hoping that, you know, when I meet him, the vibes are there, everything is great, and I feel very confident in having the surgery with him, because it needs to be done. You know, for the past 2 months, I've continued to be on crutches. I've taken off the knee immobilizer because my doctor said that it was locking my knee in place, like locking it in a specific position. So, you know, since I still have not been able to fully bend my leg, I can't fully straighten it. So it is kind of just like this. Like I can't fully 90-degree make a bend, and I can't fully straighten it. So yeah, I'm just not I haven't been myself at all. Again, I've been on the crutches 24/7. And I've been kind of like staying away from a lot of things that require me to leave my house, because it does take a lot of energy, a lot of, you know, I'm constantly I have to work, you know, like following the incident, I went back to work that same week. And so constantly, you know, living on the 3rd floor, having to go up and down the stairs with crutches, having to take cabs and or have people, you know, come to pick me up and drive me everywhere. It takes a lot of energy for me and for my support system. So, you know, I've just been trying to stay home. That's why 95% of it is why I haven't filmed any videos and I haven't done anything. It's because I haven't been going anywhere or haven't had any thing to feel like I want to film about. But I did feel like, because I am showing you guys my journey and showing you guys my experiences, it's so important for me to feel authentic with this channel and for me to show you guys the bad, because it's not always pretty, it's not always, you know, fun, it's not always the best life in the world. You know, things happen, situations occur, and people go through struggles and people go through bad times. So I want you guys to, you know, authentically see my life and see the things that I go through and the things that I bounce back from. Because if I know there's one thing about me, I'm resilient as hell. And I fucking come back from everything. You know, when things happen to me, I always figure out a way to get through it and become the better side of myself at the end of it. So I know that, you know, going through this surgery is going through this whole experience, honestly, was probably like a blessing in disguise, because it was something that probably was going to happen regardless of how it happened. It was going to happen eventually. So now, you know, I'm just appreciative that I'm going through it in my 20s, where, you know, my body is still young and I can still heal probably a lot faster than I would say I was in my 40s or my 50s. So I'm just, you know, I'm trying to take it one day at a time and stay hopeful and remain positive and, you know, stay strong and know that, you know, as long as I dedicate myself to it, I dedicate myself to my healing process, and not just physically but also emotionally and mentally, I know that I'm gonna come out of this an even better person than I was when I went into this experience, when this happened. So yeah, I wanted to share that aspect of myself with you guys, and I wanted you guys to, you know, understand why I've been so absent, but also know that, like, I'm coming back. Like, I'm making a recovery. I'm gonna take you guys along with me during this process of getting my surgery, of going through physical therapy. I'm gonna show you everything, because I want you guys to see that, like, people who go through shit like this, people who go through experiences like this, you're not alone. There are other people in this world who go through the same exact things, and yeah, it might be a different way that it happened, or it might be a different, you know, a different ligament that happened, but, you know, there are many people in this world who have had to get their knee replaced and get things done. And many people who have gone through domestic violence, or who have gone through, you know, physical assaults and worse. And so, you know, I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. If you've ever had to go through this, I'm sorry that you've ever had to go through this or ever have to deal with this. But you're not alone. And I'm going to show you that getting back and becoming better, you know, is possible. So stay tuned. I'm gonna let this video finish here, as my makeup is like coming off and my lashes are falling off because they're wet now. But yes, I will see you guys, and I hope that you continue to support me. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I know this was a harder video. It wasn't fun, it was more serious, but it was something that needed to happen. So I just hope that you guys will continue to support me along this journey, and stay tuned for what I got coming next. Peace, guys.